to get started. We have a really lengthy agenda today. Try to get through it quickly. So we're officially calling the meeting to order. Any public comment? Who's there? Beautiful. So the next one is the minutes. I'm sure you all read. Chair recognize motion for approval.
Make the motion.
Motion's made and seconded. And the next piece on this is a little bit sad. It's unfortunately Judith is not going to be returning, which is terrible. She happens to be a Native American from Quidneck Island, which is a tribe over there that's part of the Chappaquiddick property. And so it was awesome to meet and have some of the native discussions with her. I don't know if you knew that. But, and I worked with her tribe quite a bit. And those shoes are going to be hard to fill. As you know, her and Lori worked diligently on the budgets and saved this organization tremendous dollars, and efficiency went up. And it's going to be difficult to replace Judith. I was trying to get her more involved with the tribal stuff over there because the ALPA funds were quite available to Native Americans, but unfortunately she had some medical issues. Health comes first. So hopefully we can send a citation or something of quality to her and thanking her for her services here.
Do that. And Mr. Vice Chair, before you continue, if we could just go back to the minutes and just vote on the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion and seconded, and
Yeah.
there was no vote.
Okay, so we gotta, I'm sorry, my mistake. Make a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Unanimously carried.
Yeah, I'm abstention.
Yes. Probably because you didn't get a copy of it, right?
Well, I wasn't here, so I'm not sure I can vote on them.
So we're gonna move into elections. And so person has to be nominated, has to be seconded, and then we'll vote on it. And we'll go through all of those positions. The chair, once the election is over, will take control of the rest of this meeting. Right. So the first position up is for chair, and I'm going to nominate Mr. Solomon. We are looking for a second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Guys went silent for a moment. Abstentions? Passes unanimously. Mr. Solomon, you have the rest of the positions.
Okay. Next is
A little cheat sheet here for you.
next is the a motion. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your vote of confidence. Next is vice chairman. Do I have a motion to appoint vice chairman? I'll make it. I'll make a motion to appoint Darrell Waldron as vice chair. Second.
It's not so easy, huh?
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is a motion for secretary. Do I have a motion to appoint Lori Karen? Motion by Peter, second by Darrell. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. And next to appoint Jeff Goulart as treasurer. Do I have a motion? Motion by Darrell, second by Peter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Chair, before we continue, I just thought we would introduce our new board member.
Go ahead.
So we have Karen Pinch with us as our new board member. We're, I'm sure, all happy to have her here and welcoming her. We already briefed her. Karen and I spoke, and so I gave her an overview. She'll also leave today with orientation materials, so we can give her plenty of bedtime reading as if she has spare time. But we're thrilled to have you, and thank you for being here. For those of you, I couldn't begin to go through Karen's resume, but she is a retired lieutenant colonel of the state police, and she is currently the town administrator for the town of Richmond, and a native of Jamestown.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
My daughter lives in Richmond and enjoys it.
Great. Hopefully she likes it.
Yeah, single young lady, bought her own home. And,
Oh, good.
yeah, I enjoy Richmond.
Okay, next is virtual net metering contract.
I'll take care of that.
Jeff.
We're seeking approval to enter into an agreement with the City of Providence for one-time purchase of excess virtual net metering credits in the amount of $125,000. The authority will receive this credit on our National Grid invoices and will pay the City of Providence $92,500 for the $125,000 of credits. Ultimately, the impact on our budget will be utility cost savings in the amount of approximately $33,000 for fiscal year 2023.
And before there's a vote on that, I just want to say that Jeff was very proactive on this. I mean, this concept of net metering credits has begun to get more attention, but I think he spotted it the old-fashioned way in an ad that the City of Providence had placed. And he proactively went after submitting a bid and we were the successful bidder. So it's a nice piece of savings to grab.
Oh, great job.
Thank you.
And thank you. And it's been reviewed by legal, yeah?
Yes, Brian's team.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, and by the way, Bill O'Gara is on holiday, I think, in Europe. So Brian Lambereau is here today from Pinot Lopes, Devereaux and O'Gara, doing the honors.
I'll stay out of it.
Okay, do I have a motion? Motion by Darrell, second by Peter. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Next is the 401 discretionary contribution.
And I'll take that as well. We're seeking approval to increase by just 0.1% the discretionary contribution to the 401k plan that the authority has in place for its eligible employees. It's been 3.4%, which I'm not quite sure how it got to such an odd number, but it's been that number forever. The 0.1 increase is approximately $4,500 a year, but because there is a vesting schedule and because of turnover, we won't see that type of impact. It's probably about $3,500 to $3,000 on an annual basis. We feel like this is a good opportunity. It gives us the opportunity to sit down with employees and say, hey, you know, we just increased the voluntary contribution. Can we talk about what you're doing? You know, if they're not contributing or only contributing a little bit. So we think this is a good way to engage our employees, and it doesn't cost the authority a whole lot of money to do that.
Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
I'll make the motion.
Motion seconded by Peter, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Thank you. Next is contract 22-02, design and install new electronic tolling system for the Claiborne Pell Bridge.
That's Katie.
Kate?
We are recommending the award for the new all-electronic tolling system to Amovis. River received 4 proposals from qualified vendors, all of which were interviewed during this process. We were also provided with demonstrations of the proposed systems. Amovis received the highest overall score, which included both the pricing aspect and the technical scoring. There will be no impact to RIDOT's truck tolling gantry, which will come through the lane provider to our back office. There's no dollar associated with this change that's going to impact RIDOT. And Amovis has presented a solution that we believe will offer the savings on both money and time, because they will also be our back office provider. It's a 5-year operations and maintenance contract term with 3 2-year options to extend, so 11 years total.
Questions? Hearing none. You have a question?
No,
Hearing
I
none.
was
do I-
just nodding.
Oh, do I have a motion to appoint Movis?
I'll make the motion.
As recommended, motion by Darrell, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Terrific. Thanks, Katie. Next is Claiborne Bridge Toll Collection System Upgrade Extension.
Sure. This is contract 15-03. 12, we're seeking to exercise an extension for about 18 months, beginning on September 1st, 2022, for the ongoing toll collection system maintenance while our new all-electronic gantry is being built, designed, and implemented.
Discussion? Motion by Peter, second by Darrell.
Look at that.
Sure, second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next is the Mount Hope Bridge Cable and Anderson dehumidification consultant selection.
Thank you.
Eric?
So we've spoken about this project extensively since we went for raised grant funding, actually twice now. We have another application pending right now with the raised funds. Meanwhile, what we decided to do is move forward with the project because it does need to get done. So we solicited for proposals for consulting, engineering consultants to do the design, engineering, bid phase, all the way through construction administration services for this project. And they submitted qualifications. This is strictly qualifications based, no price. So it was basically an RFQ. We ended up with 3 proposals from Majeski and Masters, Parsons, and AECom. The consultant selection committee reviewed all 3 proposals, decided that they were all qualified enough to interview all 3. So we called all 3 in for interviews, and after the interviews, we sat down, rated all of the proposals along with the interviews, and came up with a recommendation to select AECom as the most qualified consultant for this effort. So we're recommending approval to begin negotiating the scope of work and fee with AECom on this project and to proceed along that route.
Thank you. Questions? Do I have a motion?
I just make a comment.
Yes, sir.
This is one of the better proposals that I've seen in many years. It's excellent, well thought out, and clearly well qualified.
Thank
I
you.
make the motion to approve.
We have a motion, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is Newport Bridge Pier 5W Rocker Bearing Construction Contract and Construction Inspection Service Task Force.
Thank you. So this project, at the last board meeting, we asked for authorization, basically a pre-approval for some funds to get this project started early. We had gone out to bid at that time, and the bids came in about double what the engineer's estimate was at the time. It was surprising to everybody, although, you know, when you sit back and look at the rising costs of construction due to inflation, some of it wasn't so surprising. It was a bit of, well, you know, this could have happened, and it did. So we performed a bid review, a thorough bid review, between myself and the consultant. We called the 2 bidders, and then we called 2 additional construction contractors who we had expected we might have received bids from, but we didn't. So we interviewed them and said, what gives, where's your cost built into this contract? As a result of the bid interview, you know, long story short is we made a few tweaks to the specs, nothing major to the specs, but some certain areas that we were able to tweak on our end that could potentially allow 2 of the bidders to bid if we went out to rebid. We canceled all the bids, we reissued it out for bid, and we expected to be able to come in with lower bids the second time around. The result of the second round of bids was we got 4 bids instead of 2, and they ranged from $498,500 to $586,000. The low bid resulted in approximately $70,000 savings from the first time around. So the other thing it told us was the range of the bids was close enough that this is truly the cost of the job, which was really the feedback we were getting during the bid review the first time. That the job is just going to cost you more. It is what it is. So this gave us a better comfort level that we had 4 bids more tight, and we still resulted in savings. The result of the bid review from WSP was that they were going to recommend that we award to Cardi Corporation. They were the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. We talked with Cardi already. They're ready to get started on the job with authorization to proceed. Meanwhile, we needed somebody to oversee the construction from a resident engineering standpoint, so we reached out to Kevel Engineering, who is one of our on-calls for that service. They're most familiar with this type of work on Pell Bridge, and after negotiating with them, we are putting forward a $35,000 not to exceed task order to do resident engineering services on this.
So, question for, do we need two separate motions, one for Cardi and one for Kelville? Counselor?
I'm sorry. To break it up in that way, is it presented in the materials as a single proposal?
Yes.
Single request.
Single request?
So it's all in one?
The final financial effect is stated as not to exceed $583,500, so you can look at it
As a
that
whole.
way.
Yeah.
That's how I viewed it.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Peter, second by
Either.
Hi, Peter.
all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next is this Carnet River Bridge miscellaneous structure inspections.
I'll take that one as well. The Connor River Bridge, as everybody knows, was given to us by the DOT in 2013, and like all the bridges, it undergoes routine inspections every 2 years. However, when they built Sakana River Bridge, there were other appurtenances and structures that were built, including retaining walls, drainage basins, and actually a boat ramp and fishing pier area underneath the bridge on the Tiverton side. These need to be inspected about every 5 years, and the last inspection report that I could find was on some retaining walls from 2016. So we decided it's time to get all of these inspected, get a current report in place. We also had noticed on one of our field reviews that there's a little bit of movement along the walls that was concerning, so we said this is the perfect time to get these all inspected, and let's find out what's going on. Rather than go to our current on-calls for inspections, this one was a perfect project to lend itself to hire potentially some local firms instead of just the same larger firms that we had on our list. So we went to the state master price agreement and we solicited quotes through the master price agreement, including MBE companies that are on the master price agreement. As a result, we got quotes, 4 quotes ranging from $8,350 to $20,229. Green International, who happens to be a minority business, was the lowest quote. Because it was so low, we reached out, had a phone call, asked if they fully understood the scope, wanted to make sure that they were prepared to do what we were looking for and produce the deliverables we were looking for. They assured us they were. I also know that Green has done work for many years for DOT for similar type of projects. So we're recommending that we approve a task order with Green International for $8,350 to do these inspections.
Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much.
I just have a quick comment. I worked 17 months with Governor Raimondo getting minority businesses access. It's good to see that it's, it's reaching the bridge.
Good. Next is the administration building separately. Repair.
Yep, take this one too. Since I started here and going through files, I found a report from 2018 on the septic system. And it was done by Par Engineering. It was an evaluation of the current system because they had some problems back then. And coincidentally, since I've been here, we've had similar issues. We've had to pump every 5 months or so. It gets expensive, this big tank. And basically the report recommended very minor repairs to be done. So we looked into it and said, I don't think nobody could say that they were done. It certainly didn't look like they were done. And we were talking with people that were here since then. So we decided to go out and get quotes. There was actually a quote given back in 2018 for, geez, I can't remember the number. It was about 7,000, I think, at the time. Was it 10? Yes, Jeff? It was not solicited properly. It was really just a quote by a company that had been involved in the investigation, so you couldn't really act on it from a procurement standpoint. We reached out again to the state MPA and solicited quotes from several companies on this work. And we got two quotes. One is from Sole Source Construction LLC for $24,800, and one from Bay State Sewage Disposal for, it gets a bit complicated, but it's $4,482, and then they had they had 23 cents a gallon for pumping and a 7.5% energy recovery fee. We had to estimate to come up with this board action. We're ultimately recommending that we proceed with a authorization to spend not more than $6,000 to hire Bay State to do the repairs on the system. These repairs would get us another 10 to 12 years of good operation on the system, since it's only about 20 years old. So that's our recommendation.
Questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Motion made, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed,
Aye.
the ayes have it. Thank you. Next is truck mounted, how do you pronounce that?
Attenuator,
Attenuator. Say it again? Attenuator.
TMR.
Aerial lifts, seasonal rentals. I just learned a new word. Okay, thank you.
But explain what that is, Eric.
Yeah.
So the truck mounted attenuator is, sorry, I'm buzzing over here. The truck mounted attenuator is, when you're driving through construction sites on the highway, you see the truck with the big yellow box on the back. It's designed for people to crash into, not that it's inviting them to, but if somebody's gonna crash into a work zone that's supposed to hit the attenuator, it absorbs the impact, it crushes, it protects the work crew, protects the driver of the vehicle that hits it. We employ them in all of our traffic setups. We own two, and we seasonally like to rent a third one. We've looked at, and we may consider in the future purchasing a third, but for now, financially, we feel that it makes more sense to rent it on a seasonal basis during the summer months for an extra work crew, because we do use all three at once. So what we did was we went out and got quotes to rent the truck mounted attenuator. We also have painters that we hired through the wall again, the same painters that were working on the Jamestown Bridge, essentially, the same union shop, because we have some capital projects and we have some O&M projects that we'd like to get done this season. One of the capital projects that we want to do is finish painting the steel beds, the piers basically, at the Mount Hope Bridge on the Bristol side. We started them last year. We couldn't access beyond a certain point because of the height and the terrain. So we did some research and we found out that with a 135-foot articulating lift, we could have two painters working out there and essentially finish painting these steel vents at a heck of a lot less cost than if we went out to bid and put it on the street. So we also are recommending that we get approval to rent this lift for 5 months. We did receive quotes from two firms. One was from Herc Rentals for $73,320. This is for both pieces of equipment, by the way, for the period of 5 months. And then one from United Rentals for $63,910. We're recommending that we move forward with United Rentals for the $63,910.60. I do want to note that I had asked Director Silvera if she would approve 1 month's worth of expenses just to get us started, because we have the painters ready to go as of the beginning of the month. So she did agree that it made sense to do so, so we did a quick PO for the 1 month with United Rentals in the meantime while we had the board meeting scheduled to proceed with the rest of the 4 months.
I like the concept of pursuing a lot of in-house work like that. I think that's really cost effective.
Further comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Motion by Peter, second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.
Next is the discussion and vote on the executive director's contract.
So I'll present this, the board met in February, met in an executive session to discuss my job performance. The result of that discussion was that the board chair was authorized to negotiate terms to enter into with me for a 1-year extension of my contract. So currently my contract is a 3-year contract that goes through January of 2023. So the board's vote was to extend that contract by 1 year on the same terms. So Attorney O'Gara from Pannone Lopes drafted the first amendment that's in your board materials, a simple 1-year extension on the same terms, but same contractual terms, same wage terms, going through January of 2024.
Questions? Does this need to be, amendment need to be read? Or can we just vote on it as is?
No, it's in the board packet, so it doesn't need to be read.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I believe behind is also a copy of the contract.
Yes,
As
It is.
So
Yeah.
even better.
Right.
Okay. I'll make the motion. Motion, second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank
You've done a
you.
good job, Laurie.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Next is capital project status report.
Thank you, I'll take that, I'll make this brief, and I'll touch on just the highlights. I will add in for the next board meeting, the Pier 5W bearing work, now that that's been approved. Contract 1901 is now complete, that just got completed last week. This is the bridge electrical and communication upgrade for Pelham Mount Hope. Audette sent in their final invoices, and we'll be closing that one out shortly. The AET conceptual design, which is basically out front here where we met cashless tolling and we're doing the final alignment design. The conceptual design will be coming in the next couple of weeks, likely. And at the same time, we have a scope that I received from WSP, a preliminary scope, no fee yet, for the final design phase of this project, which was done by design. We wanted to see what the conceptual design is first so that we can properly scope the second phase. It'll be a large design contract. Once we get negotiations started on that, at some point we'll bring that forward to the board and ask for approval. Miscellaneous steel repairs for Mount Hope and Secana, which is contract 1913. We're getting ready to do about another $500,000 worth of repairs using some money that is left in the budget of that contract due to some underages of quantities. There's some repairs that need to be done as a result of the interim repair inspection report I just came out. And underwater bridge inspection on Pell just completed last week. I think with that's all I have. Any questions?
Anything unusual in the underwater inspection? Okay.
Nothing. They did do underwater imaging technology on Pier 1W below 100 feet. Because that was an option that Federal Highway approved. We asked for approval from Federal Highway. If they did not do underwater imaging, they would have had to put a diver down, and it would have been decompression chamber and everything, a whole different ballgame below 100 feet. And the visibility is not great to begin with, so once you get below 100 feet, it's even worse. Jeff went out. I was out sick last week with the flu, so I missed it. But Jeff Wiggin was able to go out and witness the technology in action. And said it was very impressive. And I've seen reports that have come out. We'll get a report.
The images are pretty striking.
Amazing what they can see with the equipment down there. So it's definitely becoming the future for that type of inspection.
Thank you. Next, financial reports.
Right. I'll also make this brief, as I did include my financial notes as part of your board package. Bottom line, the authority is doing well financially, both from a revenue perspective and our operating income. Our revenue versus budget is year-to-date better by $3.8 million, and our operating expenses are lower by $1.5 million. Of that $1.5 million, approximately $900,000 of that is in our personnel expenses. Our contractual services are lower by $178,000, primarily due to lower legal fees as a result of us settling the Salis issue that we had. Insurance is lower by approximately $200,000. That was from the negotiations of last August insurance renewals, plus we did receive a credit from Beacon Mutual. And our bridge inspections are lower by approximately $400,000. Some of that is timing, but some of that is also due to Eric negotiating and putting out some bids for those task orders. So things are going well versus budget. I'm not going to go over the detail versus a prior year, again, because of COVID. It's all COVID related. You know, every opportunity we have, we look for cost savings, whether it be in Katie's area or Eric's area, and I think we're all moving in the right direction. We're seeing the traffic come back pretty well, which I know Lori will cover. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have with respect to the commentary of the board package.
Okay. Questions?
I just think it's awesome where we are, and I know it's been a lot of work with you and Judith and, you know, and an excellent staff. Confidence is high here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Okay. Next, Lori.
Yeah, so I'll keep my report brief too, but as you all know, I get pretty enthusiastic about all the things going on here. There's a lot going on here that's very exciting. The traffic report, as you can see in the back, the blue line is the line to look at there. I wish it were shooting right through that yellow line of 2019, and I hope that soon we'll be seeing that. If we have a good summer, if we have good weather, we will see that, right? And if COVID doesn't rear its ugly head again, so we should see that. Overall, we're still missing about $20 million over 3 fiscal years on account of COVID. So that's bottom line. Even though everything's coming back, we had a much better story to tell than most state agencies could tell, and quasi-state agencies, but we're still missing $20 million, which brings me to the next part of my report, which is federal funding requests. We've been, as you know, very aggressive in going after federal funds. We went after the RAISE grant last year. I've reported before that we had a great debriefing with the USDOT, where they told us that we had done, they loved the first and third sections of our report. It was the second with the highest score we could have gotten was 3, 3, and 3. We ended up with 3, 2, 3. They told us to leave everything alone in the first and third sections and just support the second section, which had to do with the local impact of the RAISE grant that we were seeking to dehumidify the Mount Hope Bridge, and the local and regional impact of the project. So we have done that. We've submitted it again. We expect to hear, I think the date is in very early August. So toes crossed that this time, actually our consultant on that report, when we redid the second section, said that she had pretty much, she said it was one of the strongest sections. It was all about labor, and I have to say, the support from the community and the support from the unions was amazing. It was amazing. Our painters union stepped up and really kind of led the charge, and we just had amazing support from every corner, and labor organizations all across the country, labor organizations interested in apprenticeships, in introducing children and young people and college students to infrastructure, so that we have the workforce of tomorrow, people that might not have had opportunities to have those construction careers, not just jobs, but careers in taking care of these bridges, and the tolling industry, which I always say is another language. But, you know, I mean, we need people interested in, when I grow up, I want to be a diver under a bridge to see if the anchorage is still solid. I want to learn the tolling industry and be involved in, you know, with other states across the country. We need to start educating our children that there are these opportunities. It's very exciting, actually, and the support has been fantastic. So the other, in addition to our renewed RAISE grant for the Mount Hope dehumidification project, we have just put in what we were calling a mega project for the Pell Bridge, which involved all different areas of the Pell. It amounted to $140 million, if that's correct. It's somewhere around.
It's $132.5.
$132.5 million for a dehumidification on the Pell Bridge, because it too is a suspension bridge with the effects of climate change causing deterioration of the wires within the main cables. So we need the same system that we're trying to build over at Mount Hope. So we'll do that. We're trying to complete the decking sooner than we would have if we can get that money. Also, painting up the towers is another issue, and the suspender ropes, which is the ropes that come down from the cables perpendicular to the deck, those suspender ropes need work as well. So that all of that totaled $132.5 million. It's a mega grant. Under that program, we could also submit it as an infra grant. It went in Monday on a very short timeline. fingers and toes crossed again that, you know, but if things are good now, we are thinking we are really going to have, we're going to have jobs, we're going to have work, we're going to be very busy with all of this. So it's exciting. Finally, on the suicide deterrent concepts, those bills are still pending. As you know, we did engage Atkins in the event that we received the funding to study the feasibility of putting barriers on these bridges, and we're still in a holding pattern on that. I will add that I just last night, as I was reviewing these at 10 o'clock, looked down at my phone and saw that there was an email from Jeff Hill. Jeff Hill is the manager of at the Department of Health, a program that focuses on violent deaths and also on violence and other issues. He tracks the statistics on suicide in the state of Rhode Island. He's going after a grant that has a more comprehensive focus on the concept of suicide, not just limited to you know, suicide by one particular means. So the issue is still getting attention. It's getting more attention, and we'll see what happens. Right? You know, the session up in Providence isn't over yet, and so we'll see what happens. If we receive that funding, we are ready to go. So that's some of the highlights.
Thank you. Further discussion? Questions, anything? All good?
Do you need a motion to accept these reports?
Do we? No. No further discussion, do I have a motion to adjourn? Peter? Now that we hear from everyone.